Today we embark on a profound journey of faith, a journey that unveils the heart of God through the lives of Abraham and Sarah. This story is not just a tale of ancient history, but a testament to the unwavering faithfulness of God, His timing, and His promises. As we delve into their story, we will see how God's promises transcend human limitations and how His faithfulness brings life to what was once barren. Abraham, a man living in the bustling land of Haran, was called by God to leave everything he knew, his homeland, his kindred, his father's house, and venture into the unknown. With a heart full of faith, Abraham obeyed, not knowing where this journey would lead, but trusting in the God who called him. Little did he know that this journey would mark the beginning of a divine legacy, a promise that would shape the destiny of nations. As the years passed, the promise of a son seemed more like a distant dream. Yet one night, under the canopy of a star-filled sky, God reaffirmed His promise to Abraham. "Look now toward heaven," God said. The stars, too numerous to count, were a visual reminder of the countless descendants that would come through the son promised to Abraham. And so, Abraham believed God, and it was accounted to him for righteousness. Years passed, and the promise still seemed unfulfilled. Sarah, now old and barren, overheard the divine message that she would bear a son within the year. Her response was a laugh of doubt, of weariness, of disbelief. How could she, a woman of 90 years, give birth to a child? But God, in His gentle rebuke, asked, "Is anything too hard for the Lord?" Indeed, at the appointed time, Sarah would hold in her arms the son of the promise, Isaac, whose name means laughter, a constant reminder that God's promises are no laughing matter. They are sure and steadfast. And so it came to pass, at the appointed time, that Sarah conceived and bore a son. The barrenness of her womb gave way to the fullness of God's promise. Isaac was born, a child of laughter, a child of covenant. For Abraham and Sarah, this child was the fulfillment of years of waiting, of hoping, of believing in the impossible. Through Isaac, the promise of God to make Abraham a father of many nations began to take shape. But the journey of faith was far from over. In a moment that would test the very core of Abraham's faith, God called out to him, "Take now your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and offer him as a burnt offering." The very son, through whom the promise was to be fulfilled, was now to be sacrificed. How could this be? Yet, in this command, Abraham's faith reached its pinnacle. Without hesitation, he rose early the next morning, prepared the wood, and set out with Isaac to the place God had shown him. With every step toward Mount Moriah, the weight of the wood on Isaac's back mirrored the weight on Abraham's heart. "Where is the lamb for a burnt offering?" Isaac asked, unaware of the command God had given. Abraham's response was filled with both faith and prophetic insight. "My son, God will provide for Himself the lamb." Abraham trusted that somehow, someway, God would fulfill His promise, even if it meant raising Isaac from the dead. As the knife was raised and the tension reached its peak, a voice from heaven called out, "Abraham, Abraham!" The command was clear. Isaac was spared. In that moment, Abraham's faith was vindicated, and God's provision was revealed. A ram, caught in the thicket, was offered in place of Isaac. This act of substitution would echo through the ages, pointing to the ultimate sacrifice, God's only Son, Jesus Christ, who would one day be offered up for the sins of the world. Because of Abraham's obedience, the promise was reaffirmed with even greater intensity. The blessings would overflow, the descendants would multiply, and through his seed, all the nations of the earth would be blessed. Abraham's faith journey, from the call to the promise, and from the promise to the sacrifice, became a testimony of unwavering trust in God. And through this trust, the world would see the faithfulness of God, who keeps His promises, no matter the cost. Abraham's journey is a beacon of faith for all who believe. His story teaches us that God's promises are worth the wait, that His commands are worth our obedience, and that His provision is always sufficient. Just as Abraham did not withhold his son, God did not withhold His only Son, Jesus, the ultimate sacrifice, who died that we might live. Let us, therefore, walk in the footsteps of Abraham, trusting in God's promises, obeying His voice, and believing in His provision. For in doing so, we too will be partakers of the blessings that flow from a life of faith. Amen.